Hi everyone, it's Sal Jade from the Psychic Healing Academy and best-selling tarot instructor on Udemy. And I just wanted to share with you today a few tips about the card Judgment and why Judgment can be one of the most challenging cards to interpret when you are reading the tarot. So for those of you who don't know me, I've helped over 90,000 students all around the world get in touch with their intuitive gifts and read tarot, as well as start online tarot businesses. And if you'd love to get more of these offerings, please do hit subscribe so you always get my latest videos. So on my Psychic Healing Academy, I have an advanced tarot and psychic business program where I help my more advanced students who want to read professionally how to learn to read and market themselves in the online world. And one of the questions I love to ask them at the beginning is, what is the most challenging card that you find to read in the tarot? Because I like to know what I feel like they get challenged by. And overwhelmingly, it is Judgment, that card. And so over the years, I've formulated different ideas about why I think this card can be so challenging to interpret and what this can mean. So Judgment can be such a tricky card to interpret because, first of all, it's very high in the major arcana, and it is actually quite a positive card. Like, it's only one step away from the world. So in the major arcana with those 21 cards, when you are at the level of pulling Judgment, that means you really have mastered a lot of spiritual lessons for whatever cycle, whatever issue or theme that is going on in your life. So Judgment actually really is quite positive. You're actually getting much closer to the world and completing the cycle and feeling like you've learnt the lessons, and you're going to start feeling and reaping rewards from that. But because the word judgment has so many connotations, so even if we look at the Christian version of Judgment Day, like, this already has the idea of something bad is going to happen to us, or we are going to be judged. Whereas for me, Judgment is one of the ultimate spiritual cards because it balances this idea of taking responsibility for what is ours and what we have created in our life that is not working. And when you are in some of those lower major arcana cards, you might not be ready to do that yet because it takes tremendous amounts of courage to look at yourself and look at your journey and be able to understand what you have done to participate in it. So I am not a fan of blaming yourself if you have done things that have caused problems in your life. I don't think that. I think looking at yourself through the lens of love is a much better response and will get you healing much faster than shaming yourself. However, if you are someone who is constantly in the land of, well, it's everyone else's fault but mine, then obviously you're not going to get very far because you're not going to actually know yourself. You're not going to know how you respond and react in certain situations. And you're also not going to be able to take your power back. And that is what I love about Judgment. It is the card where you take your power back because you suddenly acknowledge and realize, it's almost like a giant epiphany coming down from above, that you actually have participated in this process that has created something you don't like. So I'm going to give you an example. Say, for example, you have always wanted to live your life of purpose and you wanted to follow the career of your dreams. Like, this is a very common thing that a lot of us have in modern age, and we are so fortunate and blessed that we have opportunities to do that. Once upon a time, you would just follow in your parents' footsteps or whatever jobs were available in the town. You took them, you got married, you had kids, and you did the very best you could by your family. And that was just how it was. You didn't have a lot of choice in the matter. Now we can pretty much speculate that you can do anything, especially with technology. And so this concept of living your life purpose has become huge, and lots of people pursue this with absolute vigor and enthusiasm. But just say, for example, you're like, well, I want to find my life purpose and I want it to be as easy as breathing. And so you're constantly chasing this pathway, but you may be not actually doing the work behind why you have not been able to find it until now. Like, maybe you've got success issues. Maybe you saw one of your parents when you were growing up who just worked themselves into an early grave, and you're a bit afraid and think that that means it's all hard work. Or maybe there's other stories that are boiling beyond, like, you might not be brave enough to be constantly going and trying new things. Like, one of the things I love that Oprah says, she says, you know, to be successful, you've got to fail and fail and fail again. And maybe if you're someone who's desperately afraid of failure, then you're never going going to try anything new, so you're going to find it really hard to find your life purpose, because finding your life purpose is about stepping outside of your comfort zone to find what aligns with your soul and what you're meant to do. And so you can see that this disconnect, this challenge comes up in the Judgment card, because say you're someone who's been looking and looking for your life purpose, and suddenly you go, well, wait a minute, how brave am I being? Again, not shaming yourself. Maybe you saw one of your parents fail in a business when you were younger, so you see that starting your own business is something that might lead to heartbreak or might break up your family. So no need for the negative, harsh self-judgment, but a little bit of self-assessment and a little bit of self-awareness and a little bit of looking at yourself, being objective and being kind at the same time, but thinking, maybe I could have done this differently, and maybe from now on I will do this differently. This can be the mastery of where you suddenly hear your calling. And this is the picture that we often get on images of judgment. We have these angels coming down from the sky. It's meant to be Archangel Gabriel in the actual image, coming down and blowing this horn so people raise up and hear the calling of their guides, or hear the calling of God or the angels or whichever higher forces that they believe in. And when this happens, you can do this if you have reflected on where you are up until now. So the reason why is because once you're doing that reflection, and once you're going into those moments of truth, once you're really being aware of what your habits are and maybe what your flaws are in the lens of love, then you're not going to do them again. Then you're going to be much more ready and prepared to honor your callings. And that can be in all areas of your life. That can be love as well. So it's the dance that exists in Judgment between taking responsibility and taking back your power for where you are and how you've got to where you are now, and also not being too harsh on yourself, that you're not falling way back down into some of those tower moments, or maybe some of those like death, or some of those perspectives that have perhaps damaged you in the past. So I hope that helps understand a little bit more about the complexity of Judgment. And please do, if you've got any more questions about Judgment or any of the other cards in the tarot, pop them down below. And if you are looking to enrich your knowledge more about the tarot, please do check out my best-selling courses on Udemy. I'll pop the link below, or you just go to saljade.com and you can see my Udemy courses. And always, these free little small tarot tutorials are also offering here on YouTube, so click subscribe to get them. Thank you so much for joining me.